Is this you? Are you filled with frustration and anger because of the exam season? Have no fear, we are here to help.
How do you cheat in CXC? Hello and welcome to my YouTube channel. Here am I today with three lovely ladies, and we're going to be speaking about tips for CSEC and CAPE, basically CXC exams. So these three lovely young ladies are the top performers of Grenada. We have Rochelle Griffith, who was a top performer in 2021. Crystal Smith, who was a top performer in 2019, and Sarah Logie, who was a top performer in 2019 as well. I will now give them the opportunity to introduce themselves to us. First, we will have Miss Crystal Smith.
Okay. So hello, my name is Crystal. I did CSEC in 2019 and I did CAPE in 2020 and 2021. And the subjects I did for CSEC are, I have them here because sometimes I forget. So math, English language, English literature, French, chemistry, physics, biology, human and social biology, information technology, additional mathematics, history, geography. And then for CAPE, I did chemistry, physics, math, communication studies, and applied math. Yes, and I got ones and twos in my subject. So yeah.
Yeah. All right. Next, we have Miss Rochelle. Can you tell us about your CXC accomplishments?
Hi guys, I'm Rochelle Griffith. I did CSEC exams in 2021. I did 13 subjects. So I did mathematics, additional mathematics, English A, English B, information technology, technical drawing, biology, human and social biology, chemistry, physics, integrated science, French, and principles of business. And I got all ones.
Next, we have Sarah Logie.
Hi everybody, I'm Sarah. I did CSEC in 2019. I did 14 subjects, which were mathematics, additional mathematics, chemistry, biology, human and social biology, physics, principles of business, principles of accounts, economics, French, Spanish. I should have wrote this down.
Yeah.
English language and English literature. Did I miss one?
Not sure. Anyways, we all can see that a lot of subjects.
And I did CAPE in 2021. Yeah, I did chemistry, biology, physics, pure mathematics, applied mathematics, and communication studies.
Right, thank you. Should I list my subjects?
Yeah.
Of course.
I was also a CXC top performer in 2019. I did 12 subjects. I have 9 ones and 2 twos. I did biology, chemistry, Spanish, information technology, POA, POB, OA, all the business subjects, econ, and might be mathematics, English B, English A, and something else. But yes. All right. So a lot of the children in the Caribbean are looking forward to many study tips as their exams are about to happen. And what would you say are some tips that you would like to give to them? Who would like to go first?
I can go first since I introduced myself first.
Okay.
Okay, so I would say to manage your time properly because a lot of the times you might say, I have so much things to do, and then you don't know how to get it done. So I'd say manage your time. So when you have assignments and when you have SPAs, make sure that you work on them as soon as possible. Like, as if you're working on one right now, then you say, okay, after I'm finished with this one, I'll work on the next one. Because sometimes you and then you're working on it last minute and you realize, oh gosh, if I had more time, I would have been able to produce something better. And the thing is, you have the rubric there, so it's like you can maximize on your marks. So the more time you have, well, the better you use. If you use your time better, then you'd be able to get better results. I'd also say to review your notes after class, because for me, I can't sit and study for 2-3 hours straight. I don't, my attention span is not that good. So after classes, I would review my notes, and then it sticks. So then I have better long-term memory than short-term memory. So if I study everything in a bulk, I wouldn't remember. But if I study them piece by piece after classes, I remember. And also ask questions in class, because sometimes I realize a lot of students are so nervous to raise their hands and ask questions, but that's where you learn, and that's where, like, if you're not sure about something, you could always ask. And then no question is a bad question. So just ask. And those are my tips.
What I like the ask question part. I feel many people are scared to talk to the teachers. So it's always good if you have a question to just ask the teacher, because you never know what you could be clearing up. Okay, Rochelle?
Okay, so I have about 3 tips here. So I'd say make sure that your study space is comfortable and has minimal distractions. You're going to be spending a lot of time studying, so it's best that you're comfortable in your space, and you don't want distractions. You want to be able to focus on what it is that you have to do. Also, I'd say that you want to take regular breaks. For me, same as Chriselle, cannot sit down for too long to study. So if I do like 25 minutes, and every 25 minutes I take a little 5-minute break or something like that, it really just helps me to stay energized and also motivated, and, avoid burnout, because that can be very serious. And in terms of how I study, I would say use active recall, because I know, like, rereading helps, but like doing questions, so you're actually pulling the information from your brain, seeing what you know and what you need to learn, it really helps.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I agree with the active recall. When you constantly test yourself, it's like preparing yourself for a test. So you're testing yourself in advance to prepare for a test. Next, Miss Sarah.
Okay, so some of the points I had, Crystal and Rochelle already mentioned some of them. For me, with what Rochelle said about your study environment, I think my biggest distraction is my phone. So, like, I would advise put it on Do Not Disturb whenever you're studying, even if you're using your phone to study, but like just avoid getting those notifications. Yes, back to my list. Don't cram. So a lot of times when we do exams, we cram topics, like we cram answers, we cram basically the textbook, and I think that's not a good way to do it, because even when CXC asks their questions, they phrase it differently, or they major on more than one topic. So you need to make sure you understand what you're reading. So in event that, okay, this is a question I've never seen before, you can pull from like your different sources of knowledge. And secondly, study using your syllabus and plan out your study sessions. So I remember when I was doing CAPE Unit 1, even though it was multiple choice, I went through the syllabus that they gave, and I'm just like, okay, I'm going to start here and I'm going to go through this topic. And they have various questions with objectives and all of that in the syllabus. So that could guide you as to how you're studying. So you won't be like jumping all over the place. Thirdly, and you have to do that like way before your exam. So this planning is like months before. It's not just like the 2 weeks before or like even the month before, but like 2 months before. So you make sure you cover each and every thing, so you won't be blindsided in the exams. Next is, as Rochelle was saying, take breaks. Don't study when you're tired. That's one thing I realized. Like, even I can't pull all nighters. I have to sleep. And when my body wants to sleep, it will sleep. And you don't really retain the knowledge when you study when you're tired. So take little naps. Sometimes I will do them as short as 12 minutes. Other times it's like take an hour or more. So yeah, take your rest. And last two, YouTube is your best friend. There's everything on YouTube. Just go. There's always a video that would explain, even when you're doing subjects that involve calculations, there's always videos that go through the calculations. So always go to YouTube when you're not sure. And as Crystal said, ask for help. You may be too scared. If you're too scared to ask your teacher, you can ask your friend who you know is very competent in that area. And lastly, do formula sheets and study notes. And that's a big thing for me. Like when I did math, chemistry, and physics, always have formula sheets that break down how to go about doing equations. And I think our math teacher in college, Miss Dawson, she was really big on the formula sheets, and that really helped me with math because you have everything there, so you can always go back. And for subjects like biology and those subjects that don't have calculations, I remember I did it for literature too. You just write summary notes, listing the main points. Yeah, so that's for me.
Thank you. What resonated with me was YouTube. I would like to add that you should utilize your resources. YouTube. There is Cohen Springer now that has his big student hub with many teachers, with many classes. Even though you don't have the money, he has some videos that are available for free. And you can also utilize many YouTubers. They would usually have study with me's. They usually have the Pomodoro technique or whatever, and they would study like for 3 hours, but they would have those breaks that you were talking about earlier, and you would take the break with the YouTuber. So at least you have a study buddy with you, because let's admit it, studying can be a little bit boring at times. So yeah, utilize your resources in terms of, as well, past papers. Do your past papers, paper 1 and paper 2, and you should be fine. All right. So the next question is, what are some last minute tips that you would like to give to our students? Because CXC is upon us and it's very soon, May, June, around there. So what would you say to our students?
Last minute study tips. I would say it depends on how last minute, because if it's like, 2 weeks before, then I'd say practice some past papers, 2 weeks, 1 week before. But then if it's like a day before or the morning, I'd say don't, because unless it's light revision, because it's kind of like cramming if you just wait till that time, and then how much do you really remember when you cram? So it depends on how last minute, and yes.
Okay. Rochelle?
Okay, so I'm kind of a procrastinator, so the last minute tips, they resonate with me a little bit. So I have a few. When I was doing CSEC, we were having classes down to like the last minute. We were late on labs, SBAs, everything was kind of right to the last minute. So studying, we definitely needed some last minute late nights to make sure we were ready for exams. So I say you have to choose where you're focusing because there isn't a lot of time. So for me, I focused on my trouble areas when it came to the last minute stuff. I did lots of questions, especially the CXC past paper questions now, to kind of get the format, to know what I don't know. And then I'd say YouTube, because you don't have time to ruffle through your notes or the textbook to find exactly what it is. So you head straight to a YouTube video. The same Cohen Springer. Learn SKN for POB. POB for me was a bit tricky. So stuff like that really helped me to get it done last minute, right before the exam. Even, as Crystal said, light revision if you're doing any studying exam morning. So maybe just browse through a multiple choice paper or something like that on exam morning. But don't stress too much and just do what you can.
Mm-hmm. Make sure you get that rest because you don't want to be tired in the exam hall.
Yeah.
Mm-mm. Sarah?
Okay, so mine were, well, I mentioned the study tips about making formula sheets and like summary notes. So normally, like the right before the exam, if it's like a morning exam or that morning or evening exam that day, would go through those. So like close to the exam, I wouldn't have like my notes and everything. I would have the summary points, the formula sheets, and I go through them and make sure that I know at least everything on them. And your formula sheets and your summary notes, they'll sorry, they would be by topic. So like it wouldn't be like just random stuff. So you just go through it. Get some rest before the exam too, because you don't want to be tired. And the summary section in your textbooks, even the study guide has a summary section after each. If you want to do any light revision, then you could just go through those rather than picking and choosing and jumping between like your notes and the chapters and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. What are some time management tips that you have for our Caribbean students?
I only have one, which is limit your social media time, because sometimes you're on social media and you don't realize how much time is going by, and then you're like, oh my goodness, it's been 3 hours. So yeah, limit your time, and like Sarah said before, sometimes you need to put it on do not disturb. So yeah, that's my tip.
I remember with my phone and social media, one thing I used to do is like cut it off completely and like bury it in a close a barrel. A barrel with close in it. That way I would never touch it because I'm not going to dig through it, if you get what I'm saying. And if like with Spanish, when I was studying Spanish for CSEC, I gave my aunt my phone for like at least 3 days. And I did not touch it for the 3 days. So yeah, just put your phone somewhere where you know you're too lazy to get up and touch it, or you know you wouldn't touch it. Okay.
Yes. So for my time management tips, I'm not necessarily a person who likes being super scheduled. So I know some people, they like time blocking and allotting different time slots, and that's perfectly fine, but it's not necessarily for me. So I use checklists. I use a lot of checklists as soon as I get an assignment. If I have to fix something on a SBA or anything like that, I add it to my checklist. And I usually use sticky pads. I record the page, I stick it somewhere where I'm going to see it. So that's what I like to do. And in terms of how I get this stuff on the list done, I would prioritize in terms of urgency and importance. So if it's very important, I'm going to try and get it out of the way. And especially if a due date is starting to close up on me, I'm going to make sure that I get it done in time. So I think that that's a very good way to go about doing stuff.
I love that. I love checklists as well. I enjoy my little checklists, especially on the notes. I wouldn't like write them down, but for some weird reason, I like using my phone to have it. I would put the little round circles. So I like to see change color.
Yeah, the dopamine hit when you get to cross something off.
Yeah.
Satisfying.
Yeah. The satisfaction I get from that, immaculate. Sarah.
Okay, so I have a couple. The first one is using the Pomodoro technique. Pomodoro? Can't remember, but yes, Pomodoro. Okay, yes. So you don't have to do the 25 minutes and then 5 minutes, because sometimes depending on what you're doing, you would need a longer interval or a shorter interval. So just make sure that you're actually taking your rest in and between, set a time that's good for you. And yeah, so the Pomodoro. Okay. Yes. The next one is schedule your sleep, because it's same as your rest, but like resting is different from sleeping. You need to make sure that you're actually getting sleep, and when you're getting your sleep, you're not like waking yourself up in like the middle of a sleep cycle. I think so, like, know your sleep cycle and know like how long it would take for you to be adequately rested. What's the minimum time, what's the maximum time you could go, so schedule your sleep. um I'm not particularly a night person when it comes to doing schoolwork, because all of us like fall asleep when you start. So I try to get majority of my work done during the day. So that's in the night. If anything, it's just light, and then you go to sleep. So you don't put the bulk of your work in the night. And that being said, start your day productively, because I realize when you start off your day, when you get up and you just start being productive, or you get up and you study, the rest of your day follows suit. So it's easier for you to stay productive if you start your day productive. So yeah, that was one of the biggest ones. And then the last one I have is actually something I found on Instagram like a couple of days ago. And it was schedule your day into quarters. So like, your first quarter is probably like 6 to 9, and then 9 to 12, and then 12 to 3, and then 3 afterwards. Like, but schedule it into quarters. So even though you're not as productive in your first quarter, you could redeem yourself in the second quarter, because it's like a game. You have to make it fun. So yeah, those are mine.
Yeah, I agree with the sleep schedule and getting enough rest. Because if you try to study just before you go to sleep, I don't know if anyone have ever experienced such a thing, but your mind would be racing.
Mm-hmm.
I remember my friend Ria saying she dreamt of a carbon molecule following her. We don't want carbon molecules following us in our dreams. Okay? That's so funny. So yeah. All right. So our next question is, how do you manage stress and anxiety during exams?
Okay. So for me, to manage stress and anxiety, I try to remember why I'm doing what I'm doing. I look at it like, oh, I'm doing the exam because it's going to help me in the future to achieve my goals. Because I feel like a lot of the time stress and anxiety come from trying to live up to expectations, and it's like, oh, what if I don't do good? What's going to happen? But then, like, when you remember, like, I'm doing it for me and not for everybody else, then it's easier to be calm, and then you go in and you're calm and collected, and you're like, if anything, if I don't remember a question, I could just move on to another one. I don't need to stress myself out of it. And I think it helps to relax you. Oh, and somebody also told me that it's good to take time for yourself. So like if you want to go to the beach one day during, like, in between your exams, go to the beach, take some me time, because me time is very important. So those are my tips.
Yeah, don't guilt trip yourself.
Yeah.
Don't be feeling like, oh, I can't do this. If you went on the beach, don't feel like, oh my gosh, I went to the beach and I should have been home studying. And my parents, this and that. No. Don't guilt trip yourself. Okay, Rochelle?
Yeah, so in terms of managing my stress and anxiety, definitely I think we get so laser focused during exam period and it's all about the exam and we kind of forget about everything else. So I would advise you take a break and do something that you enjoy. So for me, let's say I have a little free weekend or maybe just 2 days between an exam, I would try to like maybe read a book or bake something, just do something to kind of get me out of that stressful situation for a little bit. Also, talking to someone about it. You're definitely not the only person going through what you're going through. So just speaking to somebody makes you feel a lot less alone. Um, Also, say a word of prayer. I don't know. That really helped me during exams because, it just, in terms of calming your anxiety and stuff, it was really helpful. That's it. Me.
Yeah. Normally people have rituals that they have before they take an exam. Some people may take deep breaths, count to 10. But most of us here, I'm sure that our ritual is praying. And praying does help a lot. Although some people may think it doesn't, but it does. Sarah?
Okay, so I have a couple, and some of them are already mentioned, like the prayer and talking to someone and stuff. One of my biggest ones was exercise. Like, not any large sets of exercise. I would just take a walk because sometimes you just need to get your blood flowing. It would make you feel a bit more energized. Yeah, so not any strenuous exercise, probably just take a little walk. Another thing, it has its downsides too, but you can study with your friends. Because I know we're all stressing out. And when you study with them, like, you could get different perspectives, which will actually help you to understand. And then, depends on who your friends are, they would break the ice, crack a joke here and there. So it makes you feel a bit better. Sometimes all you have to do is pause. Like, just do nothing for a couple minutes. Don't make that be your entire day, but just take a minute and just do nothing or do something else. Reward yourself. I know, like, we beat ourselves up so much and you're anxious, but even if it's after the exam or in your studying session, reward yourself. Say, okay, I'll go get ice cream. Or as Rachel said, you go to the beach and stuff like that. So reward yourself. And music also helps a lot. So I would put on, like, the calm music on YouTube and try to study with that. It just helps me. Or you could just put on your favorite soundtracks, depending on what you're doing, because you don't want it to be a distraction. Another thing is sleep, because when you lack sleep, you get a bit jittery. So make sure you're rested, because that could be contributing to your anxiety and stress. And the last thing is the caffeine. You have to mind your caffeine sometimes. It can help you to stay awake. But I know for me, like, in certain concentrations, when I know I've had too much, it will really contribute to my anxiety. So I'm stressed, I'm jittery, and like everything is like spinning in a way. So just make sure that you control how much caffeine you have in your system, and try not to do the whole energy drinks thing, because I know that's really high in caffeine too. So yeah, those are my tips.
All right, thank you. So the part about studying with a friend, that is also a great tip, a great study tip. You can have a study buddy, and that helps with your accountability, because some people you really can't, sometimes you can't really study on your own, and you need that form of accountability where you feel like someone's in it with you. So that helps with your stress as well. I would like to also mention about women and our cycles. And the time of the month can be a very stressful period. So I would advise as well that you take that time as well to just relax yourselves, and don't try not to feel too pressured. Try to use a hot compress, eat well, try your very best to remain calm, because it can really reflect in the exam room how you're feeling. I remember one time during my biology exams, I was on my period and I had a cold at the same time, but I knew that in order for me to do well, I had to ensure that I managed the stress that I'm feeling. So yeah. And just to add about the music, that could be a good form of taking a break as well. during your breaks while you're studying, you can play music. I remember I had Sweetener and Thank You Next. That is the era. Sweetener and Thank You Next by Ariana Grande on replay. Like every time I had study breaks, I would just sit down and whoo,
Thank you.
yeah. So somebody asked on my Instagram, how do you cheat in CXC?
What is that?
We don't do that here. We are smart young men and women who study and pass using our resources.
Right.
It'll also be very hard, Yonda. The whole exam, so maybe don't even try.
Anybody remembers in our year in 2019, this boy was cheating and he had a book and he recorded it and put it on YouTube.
Oh, the Trinity.
Oh yes, I remember that.
Yes. Why would you cheat and share it though? It doesn't.
And then share it on YouTube.
They had people my year doing that too, I think one of the exams I remember people in Trinidad was supposed
When you record yourself cheating.
And then there was a whole sort of drama with that afterwards.
Don't cheat, guys. Do not cheat.
Right.
So one person asked me on Instagram, where do you get those past papers that everybody does be talking about? I don't know. I don't see them thing. So where do you get past papers, or what do you recommend as good resources?
Well, it depends on the availability of funds. Because if you have funds, then you would go to the CXC website and just buy books. But if you don't, if you're a broke college student or a broke secondary school student, then sometimes your teachers would have resources. So you just need to ask the right teachers. Some of your teachers, you're close, and you could be like, can you share some of the goods? And they wouldn't mind because obviously you're the student. And then there are sites, FastPass, for example. They have like solutions and stuff. Well, it's solutions, not really the paper itself, but they have solutions. And then there are YouTube channels that have the different papers. So those are the ones I have.
All right.
Okay. So Crystal mentioned some of those that I had down. So definitely first, once you have the funds, you check the CXC website and you get the past paper booklets there. FastPass Math is good. It's solutions, as Crystal said. I found it very helpful, especially because it's not just the questions. It explains step by step what you have to do. CSEC was another free resource for past papers. They have basically all the subjects you can think of. They have something there for them. And YouTube. So I can't think exactly of the YouTube channels, but once you type in the subjects you're looking for, and then you put CSEC past paper, you put whatever year or whatever, like if it's paper 1 or paper 2, you will find something on there.
Great.
Okay, so I think everybody mentioned like the official ways to get your past papers. Definitely would recommend the CXC site itself, and I also think certain ministries of education will have past papers available too, so you can contact them. But otherwise, your friends may have papers that you don't, so you can pool your resources together. Another thing you can do is also ask past students, like students from the year or 2 years before you. They might still have past papers in their arsenals to be able to give to you. And one of my favorite ones was the Student Hub's Discord group from Corinne Springer. So like there's the channel, I don't know how Discord works, I think it's channels they call them, for each subject, and students would send past papers, they would send solutions, they would send, and if you had any questions, you can ask and somebody would reply to it. And they also created certain WhatsApp groups within those. So that was like one of my favorite resources. So anything I needed, I would always check to see what they had. And if my friends needed and they didn't know about it, I would go check that subject for them and send it. So try to get from the people around you, because every one person might have and the other person might not. And try pooling your resources together. So don't just keep for yourself. If you know somebody needs or you're not sure if they have, you can always share with them. Yeah.
Because we're all in it together.
We're all in it together.
No need to be greedy. So the resources that they mentioned, I will ensure that they are in the description box below so that you can check it out. All right. We have come to an end. We're ending it off, and I would just like for you guys, if you have any additional thing that you would like to say or any words of encouragement that you would like to give, this is the time. The floor is yours.
Words of encouragement. Well, I would have liked to tell my young 16, 17-year-old self that you don't need to worry, you don't need to stress yourself out, because it's just an exam. And in life, there are many exams that you're going to have. So you just need to learn to be calm, and you know that you know the information. So you just need to be able to recall it, and you need to keep calm, because if you're not calm, you can't recall. So that is my bit of encouragement to this 16, 17, well, first CXC and then other ages of youngins that we are inspiring.
Yeah, so I definitely say do your best. That is all that you can do. You've prepared, and just go out there and do what you can. It's definitely CXC. It's hard, but it's for a time. So you persevere. It will be over soon, whether it's CSEC or it's CAPE. And if it doesn't go well or it doesn't go your way, it's not the end of the world. Just go out there and do what you can and be proud of what you are able to do.
Yeah, just to reiterate what Rochelle said, it's not the end of the world. I remember beating myself up after sitting exam, and at the end of the day, I did okay. So you have to trust in yourself. And one thing I would say is to make sure to take care of yourself. I know this is a stressful period, and a lot may bank on these exams, but don't develop like bad eating habits and sleeping habits because of exams, because even after the exams finish, those habits continue to stay with you. So take care of yourself and find a method that works, because if you didn't CXC, most likely, well, you did CPA, then you did CSEC, and then you'll go on to do CAPE. So find a method that works for you so that for future exams, it would be easier to take them. Even though the material is more, it would be easier to take them. So if you don't remember anything, take care of yourself, because you only have one you.
Thank you so much, girls, women power. Thank you so much for joining me today and talking to the Caribbean students about our CSEC and CAPE exams. And I would just like to say to you guys, I hope that you take all this advice that you've learned today and put it into good practice. And remember to do your personal best. Only your personal best is good enough. Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.